what we're going to do now is the lesson activity. The lesson activity is probably one of the most robust activities out there. It's an adaptive activity, so it's really, really cool. The one thing to know about this one is that you need to plan it out ahead of time. So you need to have the idea, or what they sometimes call the learning path. You need to know the end and what you want them to know, and then you need to know the steps along the way so that you can design it out. And you'll kind of see why here when we do this. So we're going to just go ahead and make a lesson. And lessons have a lot of things. You can see it's multiple pages. So you can start from one page and then move sequentially through. But the idea is you give students information. You can test them by a question page. And then if they get it right, they go to one page. If they get it wrong, they go to another page with remediation type activities or remediation type information to help them get it. They can get asked again. If they get it, they move on. If they don't, they continue to be remediated. The other part about it is there's this thing called clusters, which is also very interesting. So that what a cluster will do then is same idea, except when they get to the end, it'll potentially pick a random question. And so each student, if they're going through the lesson together, they might get different questions. And so now it's trying to prevent that idea of online cheating and all that kind of jazz. So here we go. We click add. It looks the same always when you start this stuff, right? It always looks like you got to put the title in, you got to put the description in. You don't have to, but I always do. Okay, so now if you look, there's a whole bunch of settings here. New ones will be flow control, appearance, and so appearance, you want a progress bar. You can have a display menu which shows the different pieces. Availability is always the same. Flow control, allow a student to review, provide options to try the question again, and maximum number of attempts. So you can kind of get the idea that what you're building is a lesson so that by the end, they have a certain amount of information or a certain concept that they need. Or have to have for the class or for understanding purposes. We can do the restrict access and activity completion again. And if you look at activity completion for this one, student must view the activity, student must receive the grade, student must reach the end. And then you can also put this one in is when you change this, you could put in a time frame. So they need to spend this many minutes on this lesson. Because if they just click through, they're not understanding it, or however you do it, you have a 15-minute video and they only do it for 10. Well, obviously they haven't watched the entire video. So that's the idea, is that so you can control kind of where they are, and then we have the typical tags and tendencies. So then when you do it, what happens is you're here, okay? And it says you can do all sorts of different things here. You have the collapsed version, the extended version, and you can see we've got add a content page, add a question page, or import questions, because if we have them somewhere else, we can bring them in. Content page is the delivery mechanism. A question page is the page where you go and it'll be just one question. And then a cluster is, as far as I'm understanding a cluster, is it's a group of questions that you can have that the person has to go through each question, or that you can set it up to randomize the questions as well. So it's an interesting added-on feature. But if we go just to add a content page, you'll notice it looks the same as like adding any activity. And here's the deal is we can put in a description here, and if we look at this, it's required. So we would put page 1 or something like that. We can put the first thing up here, my first page, and you could put your content in here. Notice that since it's a web page, you can add whatever text, images, you can make it look all nice. And then when they're done, jump to their next page. So what you're seeing here is these are the different content pages. And so you can start naming them if you want to name them, and you can have them jump. Well, notice that there's nothing else here except next page, previous page. You can't see these. End of lesson, unseen question with content page, random question with content page, or random content page. So you could have them jump around however you want, but what this is designed to do is, so once I finish content, which is page 1, where do I go next? And as you start to build pages, they will build into this jump menu right here. So you can have them jump to, like, let's say you had a question page 1, after page 1 they jump to question page 1, and so on and so forth. And then it says random question with a content page within a content page, or a random content page. So it's trying to get you to go where they are. It's a really complex system to set up. You have to do a lot of thinking ahead of time, and then we'll have to, if you want to do this, we'll have to play together to work on the clustering idea if you want to try clusters. But you got to set it up, have like a flow chart of where people will go if they get it right, if they get it wrong, and how they progress. And by the end, what will they be able to show? Okay, that's really what a lesson is, and they call it adaptive because you can change, like, if somebody doesn't meet the level that you need them to, now they move on and get remediated and get extra help for that thing that they don't know. So that's what a lesson is. If I save the page, there you go. And so when a student comes in, and you can see you can make all these edit marks and all this stuff, is when a student comes in, they are greeted with the first content page, basically. And here, let me show you. So if I go to Smith Test, there's my first page, and it says page 1. This is the preview, and it just says page 1 because I didn't write anything down there. They won't necessarily have these other things. Okay, that's the thing to understand. They'll just have that method. I'll show you. So if we go to student, we'll switch to the student view. So this is all they'll have when they click on it. That's all they're going to go to because there's nothing there. I didn't put anything in. And then after that, it would have other things if we had more pages and so on. So that's a lesson. It's a really complex, really cool thing in here, activity in here, where you can add a lot of different material and get students learning really on an individualized basis. Okay, so we'll come back for the next one.